for program, so there is a certain inputs which we require based on which it would run. So it can be something like it would capture the user inputs and then run on top of it, or maybe use a file which would read the data from a file and then process it and run and give an output. Needs some input, right? So for that input, as discussed, like there are like possibilities of taking it from the user, or maybe through a file, or just like within the code, right? So till now in our previous sessions, we have directly given the values within the lists and then or maybe in other data types, and then we processed it. But other than this, now let's explore like how we can capture inputs from the user while running the program. So for doing that, so we use a function called input and store that value in A, then print A. So let's see, I'm writing a single program where it would ask a pop-up saying that enter a value, and then that value would be stored in a variable A, and we are printing what is the value in that variable A. So let's run it now. We got a message here saying that enter a value. So you give 10. See, the value of A is 10. So it means it has captured the value what we have given here, and then that value is stored in A, and we finally got that value out here. So this is where we can read the inputs from the user and then use it. Let's say the type of this A. So print. So I am giving print type of A and run it here. So enter a value, I'll give 100. So you can see the value of A is 100, but type, if you see, it has come as a string. Even though if we gave 100, it has taken as a string. So it means, so whatever we give, it would be treated as a string. So whatever input we give over here, so it would be in a string format, and then in case we want it into a like integer format or other number, we have to convert it. So what I do now is int of A. So I would be converting the A value with int of A, and then again storing it back in A. Now I'll be looking at what is the type of A. Okay, so now let's see, let's run it and see. Value of A, again I give 100. You can see previously the type of A is str, but after that it has processed this A equal to int of A, and then finally type of A is integer. Instead of doing till here, what we can also do is directly we can put int of and then add this thing. So this would directly convert it into integer, and then directly save the value A here in an integer format. So let's see that. Enter a value 100. So value of A is 100 and type is integer. So because, so this would be 100 in a string that we are converting it into integer, and that is stored here, and then the value is 100 and type is integer. Okay, so this is fine. Now actually this is all good, right? So now again I gave this, but user, we don't know, we can get various kinds of inputs. In a calculator, you have creating a calculator, you only deals with numbers. So in case if you are capturing some kind of strings, so that should throw an error, right? If I run here, now I kept Python and it has given an error saying that because this input would be Python, and Python can't be converted into integer. It has given an error and the program would crash. So this should be avoidable, right? So for that reason, as we discussed in our error handling session, so where we can first check the type of the data and then once the type of the data is known, if it is a string, then convert like this. If it is not convertible, something like this, then use try except. I'll put try except, and then put saying that like print invalid value for a. So we can also specify what is the error by putting exception as e, and then coming here print error e. While coming down, right, like it is again expecting a value of a here, because here if it is an error, it would not save any value here, and it would still be undefined. So but if it is expecting something out here, so just I give it like none, which is like none value. So it should not be within the quotes, it's not a string, it's just none, which is null value. So there is nothing would be stored in a, and a won't be defined, right, because we got an error there. So this wouldn't come. So now let's try, like I'm removing that now. So enter a value for a, it's Python, and when you run it, it has printed the error in this line. So this can't be converted into integer, that is true. And next, just invalid value for a, so that is written. Now the value for a is coming here, it would go into this none, and the value for a is none, which we gave, and the type is none type. So that is not a integer, not a string. So none is a different type, it is just for null value. So it doesn't contain any value. When if you print, it would come like nothing. Maybe some cases your user, like as it is expecting an integer, right, and you have some kind of processing where you need an integer, like maybe you are doing some math operations in the rest, so you can give some default value a0 like that, and then process it. Depends on your problem statement, you can do that. So I give Python, but as a value I gave 0, it would take 0, and type of a is int. Let's say your user needs multiple inputs rather than a single input. Your user needs multiple inputs. So I would create a new file, right click, file. So taking this file within the same folder, so a equal to put of enter a value. So this enter a value is not needed actually, like you can even directly give this input, it would still work, but just for our understanding I gave this message as well. So now, and then you can also take b. So let's run this. So running it, Python space, it's inside code input functions, and inside that it is in multiple user inputs dot. Okay, now I am running it. So we got enter a value, and I gave 100, enter one more value, I gave Python, and enter. So you see the first value is stored in a, and second again it has asked for, so that value is stored in b, and we got a value as 100 and b value as Python, like how we gave it here. Instead of that one, user has given both in same. Let's say here 100 Python, and here it did not give anything. So now you see, like if you give with space in the same thing, we got it like this, like the entire thing it would be treated as string anyway, right? So that would be stored in a, and b I did not give anything, I just gave enter, so it has just stored nothing. You can even use a for loop. So now let's say, let me remove the message as well. So now let's run it. It wouldn't display anything, we can directly give like inputs. So those values will be taken and stored here. In case if you have multiple inputs, right, so and you would like to store them in a list, so let me comment this out so that this won't run. So So using these three quotations of like maybe double quotes or a single quotes, if you use these three here and end three, so that would actually make all this as a string. So we can use that to comment the code. So now that won't execute. Let's run and see, nothing would get executed now. Here you see nothing has come. So now what I would like to store the inputs, like multiple inputs in a single list. So we can do it like by, let's say first I would like to initialize the list like A with an empty list. Let's say I'll capture like 5 inputs from user. You can use I in range 0 to 5 and then A dot. So in case if we want to capture input, it is input like this, right? So you don't have to specify any message, just input of this thing would actually be enough. So and this one you can do A dot append of you can give this input within it, so that whatever is captured from the user, so that would directly be appended into this A. So now let's print A. So if you run it, yeah, it has it is asking for the value. It did not display because we did not give any message here, so it did not come. So now I gave 100, 20, Python 400, 25. I just put enter. It is still asking for I mean it is still allowing to write an inputs. Like you see, like once I press enter after 12, so it has printed these values 10, 20, Python. So here we have written the loop to run it from 0 to 5. It means it would run for 5 times, 0 to till from I equal to 0 to I equal to 4. So and then each time it would capture an input. So first time it captured like 100, and when we press enter, it would go again into the loop and it would capture this 20, and then again go into this and captured Python. So like that it would capture all 5 items. So till that point it would be asking for a user input here. So just for better understanding, I would give enter value. Okay, now let me run that. So we would understand that it is coming. You can see enter a value. I entered 100, 20, 30, Python 0. So you see, so till after I entered for the 5th time, then it has no more asked for a value. It has displayed this. It means it came out of this for loop and it has printed this A here. So usually this is a case which will happen like where you know already how many inputs are there, and based on that you can do it. So in case you don't know how many inputs are there, so that is a case, right? You don't know how many inputs user would make, that would also be a case. So for that scenario, so I am actually again like commenting the previous code. Now for that scenario we actually do something like this. So we don't know like how many times this should run. We can't put a loop here, right? So instead we expect all the inputs to be given in a single one. So and here let's say and print A. So now here if I give like 100 with space, like previously I gave it like this, right? Giving an enter in the end, and if you do, you see like entire thing is a single string which has been stored here. So now what we can do is we have this we have some spaces here, right? So with which we have given the next inputs. So we can take that advantage and then do like split with space. So it means like we gave like we can give like separation like space or underscore or anything like how you want, and depends on that we can give a split here, and then it would actually, let's see, I only give this. Okay, let's see what it would come. using this dot split actually would split this entire string. So this is an entirely it would be saved as a single string, and here this string it would be splitting this string based on the space. Like here we gave space in between, so it would look for space within the string and it would split. So here, and here we have the space, so that each part would be splitted and would be saved as a part of a list. So here this 100 is saved here, then this 30 here, 40, 77, 3777 and Python. So all these are actually saved separately in a list. So this is one more way where we can use it. So but here we did not specify how many inputs as well, right? So this would work even for any kind of input. So this I'll be storing because we need to store it somewhere, right? Let me store, I can store it in A as well, or maybe in a new thing. So now for the same code previous, so I gave 5, it has given a list of like 5 elements in a list. So now I would be giving only 2 and then pressing enter. So 120 and then press enter. So it would store only 2. So this is quite dynamic, like you don't have to specify like number of elements, whereas like previous case, like we specified like we need to capture till 5. So till then it would only expect capturing, it doesn't proceed to the next steps.